What's up again, everybody? It's Pat Voss. I'm here again for another JCT official Just Chill Truth here on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Guys, it's all truth all the time. It's my truth, my true opinions, and I do an interview series now. I was lucky enough to have Coach John Kavanagh on. That is Conor McGregor's coach. Conor McGregor, of course, goes head-to-head with Floyd Mayweather on August 26th, this Saturday, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. But today, I'm here with an up-and-coming 4-0 mixed martial artist, amateur mixed martial artist. It's Andrew Stock. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm glad you could make it. I was trying to work things out down to the last second here and trying to get you on the show before the fight. I know we were having some complications, but we got it done. I'm glad you're here. One thing I want to know, your record reads, your amateur record right now reads 4-0. And I know that your first fight you were saying was by submission, but your second fight that is noted on a particular fight inventory website or a fighter's inventory website shows that it was a knockout in 49 seconds. Can you kind of walk us through that quick of a KO and what that felt like to you?
Yeah, so it actually wound up being a little different of an outcome than I was thinking, but started out ready to go. The guy ate a couple hard shots from me at first and then tried to body lock me. And I have a background in wrestling, so I don't think that was maybe the brightest decision he made. I was able to secure a takedown to side control and started hitting him. And as he turtled up, I just kept throwing a bunch of rights and then a few lefts. And then just remember as the last left hand connected, he kind of went limp and the ref stepped in right there. So
wow.
Kind of all happened fast, but it was definitely a fun time.
And so, and just, I have something I forgot in the intro there. You're from New York, correct?
Yes, sir.
What part of New York?
Long Island.
Long Island? Okay. And you have another fight coming up in Queens in September, correct?
Yes, sir. September 16th, 3 weeks away.
Now, what are you fighting at? Because I understand in a lot of things, we're catchweight fights. We're in the middle. We're not exactly at, let's say welterweight or lightweight or featherweight or whatever. Why were they catchweight, would you say? And is the next fight on September 16th supposed to be at a specific weight or another catchweight fight?
Okay, so yeah, we started my career. I actually fought at 170 for my first one and agreed to 170 for my second one, but my opponent missed weight and weighed in 180, so that was technically a catchweight at 180. The goal has always been to get down to lightweight, but it was just making sure I got used to the cut the smart way and didn't just jump in right away, diving, killing myself to make weight. I mean, the cut will never be completely easy, but it's been very easy as far as the way that we've done it, because if I did it right away, I don't know if I would have been sitting here now, because it's kind of miserable every once in a while. But my next one will actually be for the 155 title at New York Fight Exchange, which is the largest and best promotion for amateur mixed martial artists in New York.
So you're going for the lightweight crown?
Yes, sir. We actually had there was a little tournament with May 6th. There was 4 of us in there, and the winners of that were going to fight for the title. So,
wow. Well, good luck on that. I want to see, I wish, trust me, New York is one of the places I wish I could visit. I'm here from the Midwest. I'm here from Chicago. So I've only been a couple different places, but that would be a great fight to go see, especially since you're coming up, you're undefeated. And you're going for a crown right away. So possibly, and what I would hope would be, as of September 16th, then you'll be 5-0 with a title. And now I wonder if that's the biggest amateur for the biggest spot for amateur mixed martial artists in New York. I'm wondering maybe the UFC takes notice. Maybe either even like Bellator, maybe someone takes notice of that fight, and this kid can really, either most of your fights are one that have not gone the distance, obviously, that you've won these fights are all by mostly by submission.
Correct.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, New York Fight Exchange or NYFE has sent a lot of guys to a bunch of different promotions. They've had people go straight to Bellator, Cage Fury Fighting Championship, CFFC. They've sent people to Ring of Combat and a lot of top promotions. So, somewhere down the line, I would like to do that. But my game plan and focus is solely on getting through September 16th.
And I like that. It's one step at a time for you, and that's what it needs to be. It can't be, hold on. Before I say that and trip myself up, people like Conor McGregor have said, from day one, they knew where they wanted to go with things. And obviously the easy answer is to say, one day I want to fight on a UFC card at one, whatever it is, 155, or if you want to pump yourself up to 170 or whatever you want to do there. That's the easy answer, saying you want to get there. But what is kind of the path past September 16th that you see for yourself in the combat sport of mixed martial arts?
Yeah, so I mean, like I mentioned, my sole focus was on getting through this fight, pushing through. But you always got to have a plan.
Right.
You always got to kind of have this goal in mind. By this time next year, I'm going to be fighting professionally. That's the game plan for that, and I want to take this as far as I can. Whether it's getting 8 pounds of gold strapped around my waist one day, that's obviously everybody's that ultimate end game. But like I mentioned, go through September 16th, figure out, sit down with my coaches, what we think is going to be best, and then look field offers and fight pro. But you can never guarantee it. I mean, I see it every day, getting those high goals, and you got to visualize it to achieve it. But you always got to say, I'm going to just ride this till the wheels fall off, until I can't do it anymore.
Right. And I've got I just had a guy on yesterday. It's out of Chicago here. He used to train out of Midwest Training Center.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Matt the Axe Brax. He's a welterweight. He fights at 170. And I forget the only fight he lost, but he is the point I was trying to make of that was, he had gone and tried to go pro. He had a pro debut of about 3 different times was supposed to come up, and then something went on. But you seem very healthy. You seem like, and knock on wood, obviously, so it seemed like in very good health and keep your health. And I'm hoping all the best for you, especially on September 16th. Go get that knockout. I want to see a second KO on your record.
That would make 2 of us, Wherever the fight goes, though, you're never make a guarantee. Wherever we wind up landing is where it's going to go. But I definitely see myself picking up that W there.
Now, when we talk about the fight game, when we talk about UFC or we talk about mixed martial arts, obviously everyone talks about this Saturday, August 26th. You can't help but mention it. You can't help but see it in social media wherever you go. Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring. Now, for those and I'm not sure, have you studied Have you studied Conor?
Yeah, I mean, you got to follow him or see what he's doing in the sport. You can't just be involved in the sport and say, "Oh, I've never heard of the guy," or his patented, "Who the fuck's that guy?" You're never going to be able to say that. You got to look at him for what he's doing.
Well, the reason I ask is for those skeptics who say that Floyd Mayweather is going to walk all over him, and not that he's not going to land a punch, or not that he's going to not hit Floyd Mayweather, but that he has no chance to win this fight. That's the thing I'm trying to kind of circle in on and hone in on for the next 3 days before the fight on Saturday. What is your prediction and why? What do you see about Conor McGregor that you think, if you think he can win? If it's truly Floyd Mayweather you see winning, then why? Or if it's Conor you see winning, then why?
Yeah, so I actually have a couple different ways that I'm genuinely seeing this plan out. I mean, Floyd's done a lot of talk about lately how he's not the fighter he once was. He's been injured, But while I think some of that's gamesmanship to help, get some more eyes out on it, you do have to start wondering, because he has had hand problems his whole career. He's taken time off. Obviously you do slow down with age and everything. So if this broken sort of Floyd Mayweather that he's putting out there comes out, and the different training that John and Conor have been putting in to get ready come in, then, I think it could be a very interesting scrap with perhaps one of Conor's predictions coming true. Maybe not within first 4 rounds, but if he's really tagging him. But, even if it's not that route and the Floyd Mayweather that has done what he's done in the 49 fights shows up, I think it's going to be a tough fight. I have a ton of respect for Conor and what he's done in the sport. Even if you're not a fan of him, you got to respect what he's done. He's done amazing things, whether it's been revolutionizing the game, making money out of the sport, whatever you want to look at it, he's done great things. But if that Floyd Mayweather that shows up, that's shown up for his last, few fights, it's going to be a rough one. I think if that happens, then I could see Floyd getting a decision win. The thing about him getting a knockout against Conor, I don't really see that. I mean, you look at some of the people he fought, like when he fought Nate Diaz, who I'm a huge fan of, and watched that. They're dishing it out to each other and beating each other up, and so it's going to be tough. I don't see the knockout. Floyd's saying he owes it to the fans to be coming forward and going toe to toe. If he does that, then it's going to be a long night. So.
Well, even with his defense, do you think, a guy like Conor who seems so laser focused on getting this done, do you see it going to a knockout? Now, here's how I see it, okay? Mm-hmm. Even with defense, even with Floyd's supposed unconquerable defense, mm-hmm. I see this as a knockout for Conor. And in my past videos, you can see, when I was talking to Coach Kavanaugh, I call it a knockout in 3, regardless. Only because if you take from where you come from the octagon. You had a wrestling background, but then you now compete in the octagon. Conor competes in the octagon. Each round, I believe, is 5 minutes. Well, 2 rounds is 10 minutes. Well, that's going to be, that's already 3 rounds. That's just over 3 rounds in boxing. So I think it takes Conor maybe 1 or 2 rounds to figure out Floyd's defense and the way that he pulls him in, because unfortunately for Floyd, he is older, so he has a boxing IQ of what you would call a seasoned veteran in the boxing ring. But you have a young, hungry Conor McGregor who adapts and learns so quickly, it seems, with different styles of opponents. Now, the first Nate Diaz fight, I wasn't sure. I thought that would actually be the first time it happened. I thought that might be the one to go to decision, because I was like, well, I don't know if he's going to knock Nate out. I don't think he knocks him out, but I don't see Nate knocking him out either. I see him trying to be elusive, and the fact that he gassed in the second round and then got choked out and had a tap. I just didn't see I didn't see a Conor-like performance. I didn't see him. It didn't look like he was in his right mind at that point. And now all of a sudden he immediately asks for a rematch. He comes back out. He learns Diaz's strategy and the way that he fights. And yeah, it went to decision, but for the majority of that fight, Diaz was he was on the receiving end of most of it. And that's why, even though people say it's an arguable outcome in 5 rounds and to have a decision go Conor's way, I say not. I watched that fight too. It looked like round 1 and 2 went to Conor, 3 and 4 went to Nate, and round 5 went to Conor. Just the way that they were trading back and forth. Other than the takedown at the end by Nate Diaz, there's really not much else that people can say that, like, physical proof for otherwise. So with this fight, I think he learned so fast that after 2 rounds, he really starts, and at the end of the second round, really starts implementing that pressure. Now, he's talking about straight out of the gate pressure. And unfortunately for a lot of MMA fans, and they're going to not like to hear me say this, but I don't believe he's going to come out offensively in the first 2 rounds. I think he's going to try to figure him out. Maybe a stick and move type of situation where he's really going to see what Floyd does with a stronger, faster guy. And then when he sees that, he comes in 3 and boom, boom, and puts him out. I really do. It's not going to be – I don't see it. I wish it could. I wish it could be a right hand that puts Floyd down, but it's going to be that setup in a left, I truly believe, whether it's uppercut or a straight across. If you say you don't see it going, even if Floyd comes to Conor, do you see it being within 4 rounds, or do you see him maybe extending out to what Coach Kavanaugh said, and he believes in 6? Even if Floyd defends, he says it's going to be 6 rounds.
If he's going toe-to-toe with it, then, if he's doing this true toe-to-toe, like coming in that, he's talking about, then I think it's not going to go his way, just because Conor's very good defensively, and I think that's what, obviously, they're both kind of counter fighters to at least get set up. But if he's actually trying to stand and trade and not being his traditional, defensive and boxing IQ high self, then, it's going right into what Kavanaugh says. And a lot of people would see, but if he goes and does the traditional defense, then, as much as I would love to see that happen, then my personal thing is I don't see it going that way. But here's the thing about this fight, as much as every fight is almost anybody's game, this is something that we really can't tell until, August 26th, when that bell rings and you watch the fight, because there's so many different variables with this crossover. And I think that's what draws a lot of people in,
Well, here's 2 things, though, real quick for you to think about as a mixed martial artist yourself and as a fan, I guess. And will you be watching the fight, by the way, on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Awesome.
I have to watch it.
So my two questions would be, one, do you think that Conor, what he says about his shots breaking the guard, which have happened in mixed martial arts, but with 8-ounce gloves, do you think it breaks the guard with his left? Do you think if Floyd puts up his right hand and he hits him in his right hand, that it could shake him, shake either his wrist or his forearm? Is there a possibility of that happening, or do you think there's just no chance and Conor's just talking because he wants to hype the fight? What do you feel about that?
Breaking the guard, it's always possible to happen. You eat shots, we train in 16s usually where I'm at, and you still feel hard shots. And so depending on how good that Floyd Mayweather wrapping technique is protecting his wrist, if you look into that, with his new cut man, however that is with keeping it, it could definitely happen if he's as injury prone. It's really hard for me to say. I think, honestly, with boxing defense, it's a lot different. You're not worried. In the 4-ounce gloves, doing this, you're going to eat shots up the center all the time. It's a little more protected, even in 8s. But
well, even if you're protected in 8s, and Floyd's defense is shoulder up. He's got his glove here, and he's getting ready. Mm-hmm. Well, if he gets ready, he can eat a right here, which over the top, and not straight cross like a lot of boxers have boxed him. I'm talking those crazy angles from Conor that come over the top that, not necessarily an elbow, but just that kind of curl to it that could really clip him. And if it clips him on the nose or it clips him on the eyebrow or it cuts him early, he could start really doing some damage on one or the other side of Floyd's face. And I don't see that even if the hard part for me to believe is seeing a guy like Chad Mendes who I believe hits harder than Floyd Mayweather. I think they did a power test, and I believe he hits harder than Floyd. I might be incorrect on that, but I'll check that out later. I believe he hits harder than Floyd, which he was giving shots back and forth. He was giving shots to Conor. He had Conor, bloodied from the eyes. It was coming down the side. Yeah. He fucked his hair up, rolling around with him. But the thing is, after all that, the second round rolls around, and Conor just goes, Come on, keep coming. Yeah, that's with 4-ounce gloves that are basically fists. Sure. And with 8-ounce, I think, and now you give Conor the ability to block with a bigger glove. I really think this ends not well at all for Floyd Mayweather. And the second thing I was going to ask you, I'm sorry I took too long to get there, but
go for it.
Second thing was Floyd says this fight is not going to go the distance. Now you were just saying if he defends, you can win in decision. Mm-hmm. If he's promising, even with his old style, if he somehow promises this fight won't go the distance. And I looked at the referee, and it made me laugh. I watched a YouTube video about the referee that they have now for this fight. And it's the same guy who they show walk over to a guy trying to do a standing 8 count, and he counts 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He can't even remember the count anymore just because he's not fucking paying attention to the boxer that he's trying to count on. Mm-hmm. So I just don't trust. Something about that seems a little odd. Conor says he's pleased with the decision, but something seems a little odd that that's the old guy that they choose. And I think that maybe with a seasoned, boxing ref, if Conor gets up against the ropes like Floyd does, trying to kind of rope-a-dope his opponents, mm-hmm. I have a feeling, and I'm just saying this now, so I want it to be on record. If Conor does not put him away in the first 3 rounds, and in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round, Conor gets up against the ropes and goes like this and starts taking a lot of body shots and takes maybe a couple to the face, but he's still defending, mm-hmm. Watch the referee. Watch the referee's hand, and tell me if you don't see the ref about this close to stopping the fight early because of premature whatever. And I honestly think it's going to be a premature stoppage if it gets to the 6th round. I think it's going to be a premature stoppage in favor of Floyd, only because the betting, and I'll say this openly too, the betting odds are getting smaller. People have bet a lot of money now, even though it's in favor, according to Las Vegas Sportsbook, as of Monday, it's 95-5 in favor of Conor. All the bets placed, 95-5. Mm-hmm. That's a lot on Conor McGregor. And
I think last minute money coming in.
But the thing is, with the last minute money coming in, I still don't think it evens out. I still think it's like 70-30 Conor. as far as bets at the most, 70-30, something like that, 65-35, whatever. But I just see that they're going to stop it if it goes to like the sixth round, seventh round, or later rounds in the second half of the fight, because those big bets that are on Mayweather are then going to pay off, and they won't lose all the money. Those big bettors that always bet big will not lose their money. They'll make money. And all the Conor McGregor fans that bet that 80-90% of the bets are going to lose everything. And I think that could factor in, because one of the things that Las Vegas Sportsbook did say was, we hope we don't go broke from this if Conor, that's why the odds evened out a little, because we don't want to go broke from this if Conor wins the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think, is it a possibility? Yeah, I think that's a little too much of a stretch in my personal opinion.
Really?
Just because, the stoppage could happen. They picked the ref. Conor did explain that he liked him. He does have a lot of experience, and every referee seasoned, whether it's mixed martial arts or boxing, has had those like, oh crap moments. I mean, Big John, you can look at Big John with the Cormier fight, like, oh, that was stopped too early. Mario Yamasaki with Kevin Lee versus Chiesa, is it too early or is it too late? And I meant too late, I'm sorry, when I was talking about DC. All these top officials have had potential moments where they have like those like bad things. But I think with all the eyes that are on the fight right now, any kind of foul play or something like that wouldn't really be good enough. I mean, yeah, the initial bet, like anybody who bet on Jones before, if this updated drug failure comes and overturns it, keeps their money. But I don't think that, and I don't think a lot of people bet on Conor, as much as there's with a belief, it's the odds are good. I mean, the odds have been pretty good if you're going to bet on an underdog for anything. And
they started at plus 1,100, which was awesome. 11-1 odds. That's great. It opened at 11-1, and now it's down to 3-1. So it's not amazing odds for Conor. So I'm only winning, if I put down 100, I'm only winning 300.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I could just bet $100 separately with a couple different people at the bar and make my money that way, and not even have to go to Vegas for it. So, but the 11-1 or even 6 or 7-1 odds, 7, I would have went to Vegas for.
Way down. Well, I think middle end of last week it went down to like 7-6, and so I think obviously as it's getting closer, a lot more people are pouring their chunks of change in, and that's why it's changing.
Well, yeah, and that's what I said. That's why I figure, with the odds stacked against McGregor, as far as it's, and I say stacked against McGregor Mayweather because McGregor is such a heavy favorite on the better side of things, because they want to win money. They don't want to have to put down the $800,000 to win, an eighth of that. You know what I'm saying? So
makes sense.
I think, with that, and the thing that you said about being a far-stretched idea that, or far-fetched idea that maybe the ref could be not in on a fix necessarily, but he's getting paid for it. He does, and I think he does. I really do. I think that referee, if they would have used, and I wish they wouldn't have used Joe Cortez for his sparring sessions, but if they would have used another referee, let's say, that was still experienced and still seasoned, but wasn't so, he let certain things go. Supposedly he let certain things go in a previous Mayweather fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, because now Mayweather has a real chance of getting knocked out in this fight. And they say Mayweather's never been knocked down, but I've seen at least two examples where he has been in his professional career, yet they're claiming he's never been knocked down.
I mean, there's always going to be a lot of claims and things. Didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, go ahead.
You got, you look at some of the records too. Oh, because he's 49-0, he's beating Rocky Marciano if he gets this W, or if you look at the other people that are like their names are slipping me now, but there was like 67-0, 81-0. Oh, but they had draws, or people who were 59-0 and then had a loss. There's always somebody that's going to say never. There's always somebody that's going to say like it's not up to it, but. My two cents is it's going to happen. They
also said that that other 49-0 record was heavyweight.
Yeah, it was heavyweight.
It's not even at his weight class. So there have been people that have gone past 50-0. There was a person that went 49-0 that he's tied with right now, but with a different weight class. Yeah. I say put an asterisk next to it, next to his weight class. I don't think anybody in his weight class, I don't think, has gone 50-0, which would be cool. And that's, that's all great and well, but then that also diminishes what people really think of him as a champion, I think, because it's 50-0 in his weight class. Yes, he's been in 5 different weight classes and he's won titles, but how long has it been since he's really been outside of 147? And not very, it's been quite a while. So
I think his last 2 maybe with Pacquiao. And other than that, I don't think he's done too many outside of it.
Yeah. So I think I don't trust that. And like you said, a lot of it may be a lot of his talk about I'm older, I've lost a step. Maybe that's a little bit, to sell the fight, to do that. And that's something I said to Coach Kavanaugh as well. But Coach Kavanaugh believes that, like you believe, it may get into his head a little bit. He might accidentally show that a little. He might make a little slip up. And I don't know how that translates from trying to sell a fight to making a slip up. But, we'll see come Saturday. And then – oh, sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, nothing.
Okay. And the last thing
– you're my training partner in the background too.
No, you're good. The last thing I wanted to ask you before we get off of here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was if he knocks him out, if McGregor knocks out Mayweather, like he says he will, what does that do for his personal legacy, and what does that do for the sport of mixed martial arts?
It's kind of a hard question for me to say. I mean, for his legacy, he gets to say he beat, the best ever. It'd be an amazing tirade that you'll get to see him go on right after the fight. And, that's something I would love to watch every time you see something good. Minus Aldo when he was, pretty quiet and respectful. And then obviously Nate Diaz because it was a loss. But, I think he always has, something funny to say after it. It really shows, I guess, in that sense that there are certain MMA fighters that could compete with boxers. But, at the end of the day, although we do train in boxing, we do have that stuff, it is 2 different sports. And there are always going to be a couple people that can cross over and do well. Obviously, like Holly Holm, who directed in boxing, kickboxing, and, a UFC champion at some point within mixed martial arts, or, Alistair Overeem, one of my personal favorites, K1 champion, people that can do those crossovers. I think it just shows that there are those athletes that can do it. I don't think it, takes anything away from boxing. I hate how the one thing I really dislike about this fight is it's like trying to take away from boxing, or someone's trying to take away from MMA. They're entirely different. And so there are going to be those athletes that can make those crosses, that can do those changes. But I think it goes and shows that point that there are certain mixed martial artists that can go out and, do it.
Yeah, and I really hope, I really do. I really hope that Conor knocks him out, because then he can say, I made the transition. Like you were saying, Holly Holm made the transition. Although after winning the bantamweight title, she lost it, I believe, in her first fight.
Yeah, she lost it to Miesha Tate via sub, and then she and
then Miesha Tate lost it. Sorry, it slowed down on your end.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
I was going to say, that belt, women's bantamweight, has happened to be a little bit of a hot potato, more or less, until it's landed into the lap of Amanda Nunes. But, I mean, there's going to be those people that can make the crossover, that can do the change. I think there are, certain mixed martial artists that could probably have success switching to just boxing. Obviously, Nate Diaz comes to mind, since he's trained with some of the best boxers. Maybe Stipe, it really depends. It also depends on how much time they would spend diving into it. But I think it would go and show that. And, I'm still a fan of boxing. I hate how the one thing, and, I kind of mentioned before, that I hate about this fight is that it's been very divisive. There's always been, I guess, that little tension between boxers and mixed martial artists. But now this one's kind of making it glaring. I'm still going to be a big fan of boxing. I can't wait to watch Canelo Triple G a couple weeks after that, too. As much drama as that's been added in with Oscar De La Hoya chirping. But I think it's going to be a good fight to watch regardless.
Yeah, and Triple and Oscar better hope that he better hope that Canelo wins that fight, because he's been talking a whole bunch of crap lately. If Floyd loses to Conor, that he wants Canelo to fight Conor, and if Canelo loses to Triple G, that's the end of that conversation. And Conor goes back to the UFC right away.
I'm hoping he goes back to MMA. That's one of my biggest hopes. I think he's going to. I was watching your interview that you did with Coach Kavanaugh. He really mentioned how much Conor smiles and loves doing stuff within mixed martial arts. And I think he comes back and really starts defending and fights again. It kind of puts a little silence on the people that are, I'll self-admit, I'm kind of one of them that I want to see defenses too. Like people are, I give him credit trying to go and do the next, try and do it, but just finish solidifying it. I would have loved to have seen a rematch with Aldo before, everything that happened, just to, it solidifies everything. And I think he's got a nice list of lightweight contenders that he could scrap with and put it out there.
And on Monday, the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, he had Kevin Lee on.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin Lee, I like his attitude if it wasn't towards Conor in this specific way that he did it. He said that he believes the interim title fight between him and Tony Ferguson is the real fight for the real belt, and that he would be the real champion if he beats Tony. And I don't think so. I mean, just because – and he said, Conor came down, had one fight against the guy at 155, knocked him out, got the title, and ran away. And it's just like, well, he has better things to do because guess what? He can afford to make that extra money. He can afford to call out Mayweather and make this fight happen. You can't. Like Kevin Lee couldn't come out of the woodwork and go, I want to fight Mayweather. Nobody would give a shit.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's also, I completely agree. He can't, Kevin Lee doesn't have that sort of pull just yet. But you do have to kind of look at it. I can see where he's come from in the sense of eventually, if Conor keeps taking time and doesn't come back right away, then maybe he, at a certain point, you're going to have to legitimize that other belt. It's not just somebody jumping in, making it happen. It's perfect example, when he got stripped from his title for featherweight, he, still considers himself the champ in some regard, I guess you could say it. But let's fast forward till now. If he doesn't fight again until maybe December or, early next year, that would have been 2.5 years with a belt that he hadn't defended. And so the same sort of thing I have with lightweight, where if he doesn't go back right away and he continues doing it, at a certain point it does eventually legitimize it. Like, yes, he's beat Max, and yes, he beat Jose down there. That was when Max was 21, and, I think that fight again, run back, would be an amazing fight to watch. That's one thing that really gets me fired up. But after a certain point in time, I guess you really do have to just look at it, because let's say he retired tomorrow. Does that mean any future lightweight champ is never the true champ? But, that would be, to me, the one exception. If he wins on Saturday against Floyd Mayweather and just goes, hey, I'm retiring from the UFC, then I would say that would be for the undisputed lightweight title on the Tony Ferguson Kevin Lee fight. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But that's the only time I'm willing to make that exception. And then for featherweight, I don't consider – so the thing is, even though it's been a long time since he defended since he's had the featherweight title, or since he did have it, honestly, he in that division is the true champion. He can come back down. If he made his cut back down to 145, I truly believe he would That's a big if on that cut, though. That's the one thing. That's a big if on the cut, because now he's back up and he's fought the two fights at 170, and then he came back down to 155 and won the title. And now he's basically staying at 155 or so, or a little more for the Mayweather fight. Then that means he's got to cut another 10, 12 pounds or so, or whatever it's going to be, to go back too much for lightweight.
So, the thing is, though, he started at featherweight. He was undefeated. He's undefeated at featherweight in the UFC. And he put it perfectly. I think Conor put it perfectly. He sees himself as a featherweight champion because of this. The two people that fought for the unified title, semi-recently or whenever that was, for the unified title with Holloway and Aldo. Okay, so he said one guy I bashed his head in, and the other guy, and the guy he beat to get the unified belt, I KO'd in 13 seconds. And it's just like, yeah, that's facts. That's not a lie. And I don't think that Max Holloway is a true champion. I think he got lucky that McGregor went on to do other things. I think he did, because if he would have challenged for that title and been the interim champion and challenged McGregor again, he would have gotten knocked out. I really do. I really believe it.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to find out, because I think Conor's never going to actually go down to 45.
Who knows, though? What if he loses? What if he goes up to 55 and fights the interim champion, the winner of the Kevin Lee Tony Ferguson fight,
and loses?
And he loses, a guarantee cuts down to 145 to get his belt back.
Maybe then maybe they secure the trilogy with Nate after that too. I think win or loss, you could go with that.
I would hate to see that. And the reason I'd hate to see it is because the only way I want to see a Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor trilogy is if Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor is the welterweight champion in that fight. I don't want to see another fight where there's no use in it. There's no belt on the line. There's no.
I want to see it at lightweight for a strap, honestly. But I mean, it'd take Nate a while to bounce around.
If he came down to 155 to fight Conor for his belt, that'd be awesome.
Nate is a 55er. I mean, he only fought 70 in the first fight because he had it on, I think, like 9 days' notice, and that cut's too hard to do then. And then, the rematches because Conor requested it because he agreed. He said Nate would have taken it at 55 or 65, both fights. And so I think that fight would happen at lightweight if they did a rematch. Yet again, we have so much what if that we're going to juggle around until after August 26th this weekend, and then we'll finally have some answers, I'd like to say.
Well, and like you said, Coach Cavanaugh did say in our interview on Monday that Conor McGregor is truly happy when he's doing the sport of mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. So I think he'll come back. I don't think he'll leave because, like Cavanaugh said, or like John said, he said that he's truly happy, and it would be for the love of the game, the love of the sport, not the money. Which obviously you kind of have to say that when you're only making $3 to $5 million a fight, maybe, and you go and you just came back. Even if you don't knock out Floyd, you probably made $100 million right there anyway.
Yep.
Without knocking him out. So, for me, honestly, if I was a mixed martial artist, this is the thing. I might love what I do and have a goal in mind. And I'm not saying Conor should do this, obviously. If he should do it until he doesn't want to do it anymore. But if it was me and I came in and I was hungry as hell and I had a goal in mind to be the first two-weight world champion in the UFC, and I accomplished that, and then I go on and beat the undefeated boxer in the world, one of the best defensive boxers ever, and I made $100+ million, I'd be done. I'd find something else to do. I'd start like I'm doing now. I'd start a podcast, or I'd start a training center where I train guys that are coming up through the ranks. Because honestly, I don't need to get my head kicked at anymore. I don't need to get my head elbowed anymore. I made the money that I can afford for my kid or for his kid and D, and walk off into the sunset, man. You did a great job. You've been working at this for years. You did a great job. You're my age. He's my age now. So he's just a little bit older than me. So next July, he'll be 30.
Correct.
And I say he probably only has one fight in between now and July. I bet he has one fight, and it's a lightweight title against either Kevin Lee or Tony Ferguson, and then that'll be it. And if he fights on his birthday or near his birthday in July next year, I'm going to say, yeah, you're probably right. Then after that, if he does unify the title for his side, then I say he probably does bump up to 170 again to try to face off for the rubber match against Diaz. I don't think
it'll be down at 55, though.
Huh?
I'm saying I think if they do a rubber match, it'll be at 55, not 70.
But see, the problem with that is, and if they do that, the problem with that is their first two fights were 1-1 and one, and the other won the other. Yeah. It was at 170. So I would think to be smart, you would have to fight at 170 for the third fight, just to say, hey, in this weight class, I am the best over you. Instead of saying, hey, we won one apiece. Now come down to my weight class currently that I'm the champion of and face me again. And if I beat you there, I don't honestly consider that a trilogy win for him. I consider it a championship defense.
I mean, where they fight is where they fight because, one way or another, you're going to be looking at it. If he goes down to 55 and fights it, that's Nate's weight class. Like, it's not – I mean, Nate has had four fights at 170 in the UFC.
I think Conor's more deadly at 155 than he is at 170. I think he's more of a hunky, striker, a hunked-up striker in 170 versus himself at 155.
Yeah, but Nate's going to be in better shape, I think, getting used to getting his weight down and everything. And if he doesn't have that same knee injury, it's going to be a lot of toss-ups that we really can't figure out till August 27th once the dust settles. So,
all right. So you're calling what do you call? I know you said there's a few ways you see this going, but let's say a definitive. I want it on recording. What do you think is going to happen Saturday, August 26th?
Yeah, if you're sticking the gun to my head for one thing, I'm going to say I have to go with what my gut is, and I see Floyd coming out as the best defensive boxer of all time and picking up a decision win. Not necessarily as what you want to see, but if I was, gambling the money in my wallet or something, that would be the decision that I played.
No, but I'm also glad that you're honest about it, and you're not, as a mixed martial artist, you're not siding with the MMA guy because you know in your head you see what's going on and that's your honest opinion. I love it though. I like it. I like that you are the first mixed martial artist that I've talked to that has picked Floyd over Conor, and I'm glad you did. And of course, like I said, I see Conor in a knockout in 3.
Yeah,
we will be here. You have your next bout for the lightweight title in New York, in Queens, September 16th, 2017. I hope you knock him out. I know you said where it goes, and I understand that. But I'm hoping you get your second KO of your career there, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. And, guys, you can catch me over here at Twitter. It's YouTube and Instagram, Just Chill Truth on all 3. I will see you guys later. Another JCT official interview. We'll see you.